Good morning friends and welcome to the pre-market view. US markets were up about 1% as we had extremely good jobless claim data. Also there is a feel that a large component of the money which was parked in debt funds has started moving into equities, which is clearly reflected in the way the mutual funds have got the mobilization across the US and European markets. Also European markets were up about almost 0.5 to 1%, and when we look at the Asian markets today, they are also up about 0.5 to 0.75%. The Nikkei is up about 0.5% and Hang Seng is seeing a lot of positive momentum and is up about 0.7%. In terms of flows, we had FIs net buying into cash market at around 776 crore, and the domestic institutional was sellers to the tune of about 1,070 odd crore. So the same trend continues. We have seen intensified selling by the domestic funds over the past about 5 to 7 sessions in the domestic market, and there is a feel that they are actually selling in the cash market to be able to subscribe to some of the offer for sale by the PSU companies like Oil India, NTPC and so on and so forth. Talking about the euro dollar, it continues to remain extremely strong at about 1.36, and the Brent crude too has shot up to almost about 116 odd levels. But in this entire global rally, Indian markets are not participating enough, and we had our own weakness across mid cap and large cap space on Friday, and Nifty managed to close below 6,000, which is not comforting at all, particularly when the global markets are doing so well and the global flow has continued to move into most of the emerging markets. On that note, let me invite Shaival to take us through important F&O cues, ideas and strategies that we could have in the F&O markets.
Good morning friends. After a dull expiry, we have seen that the new series has started with a marginal negative note, but what we have seen is that the PCR ratio, which started with 0.90, has jumped off to 0.94. And if we have a look at the futures and options positions in market, we have seen that the open interest was added by around 6.5 lakh shares, whereas if we talk about the cost of carry, it has increased marginally. So that's been indicating that some long positions in Friday's trades has been created. Now if we talk about the implied volatility or the volatility index VIX, both have cooled off marginally, or say has remained almost flat. So that's been indicating that market would continue to consolidate in a range before any directional move. Now focusing on the strikes, we have seen that 6,000 call option followed by 6,100 and 6,300 call option has witnessed a good activity in open interest. 6,100 call option stands with the highest number of shares. Weekly VWAP is at 6085. So going forward, say 6085 would be a hurdle for on weekly basis, and 6,100 broadly would act as a resistance for the market in coming days. And on lower side, 5,900 put option has seen a good activity. So our bias for the market is negative because we have closed below our weekly VWAP, and on lower side our targets probably would be 6,000 and 5,950. From the intraday perspective, what we feel is Punjlad looks positive, so one can go long and maintain a stop loss of 53.75. IndusInd Bank is also looking good. One can maintain a stop loss of 434.05, and IFCI is looking weak. One can go short with stop loss of 35 rupees 30 paisa. That's all. Thank you.
Here are the important news and events that we are tracking. First of all, the HSBC PMI manufacturing data for India that came out was weaker than expectations, and the growth for December was about 53.2 versus 54.7 last year. So the manufacturing activity has slowed down a bit, which is a matter of concern. Bharti came out with numbers on Friday, and numbers at the net profit level were way below expectations, but at the top line and at the operating profit level the numbers were okay, and the large part of the fall was on account of forex loss and increase in certain costs like diesel and other operating costs. So the stock reacted quite sharply, but most of the people are betting for some kind of a revival in the telecom space over the next couple of quarters. So any weakness to around maybe 315-20 levels should be used as an opportunity to accumulate Bharti from a medium term perspective. Two-wheeler numbers were also out, and Hero MotoCorp reported good set of numbers at about 5,57,000 odd units, and the growth was about 7.21%. whereas Bajaj Auto reported muted growth and about 2.35% rise at about 3,01,000 odd number. This number was below market expectations. Some good news for the oil marketing companies as the diesel price hike will continue to take place over the next few months by about 40 to 50 paise per litre, as we've seen that the crude price globally has shot up to almost about $116, though the rupee has also appreciated to about 53.15. The government has given a go-ahead to this small price hike every month, which is good news for companies like BPCL, HPCL, IOC, ONGC, so on and so forth. In another important development, the Nifty composition is likely to change from April onwards, and looking at the few factors which decide which company move in and which companies move out, it looks like that Reliance Infra and Siemens would move out of Nifty, whereas United Spirits is likely to move in. And we believe that once the stock moves in the Nifty, the possibility of some spike in the stock is extremely high. This change is likely to happen by April, but the details would be known about a month earlier. So one can play for some kind of an upside in United Spirits over the next probably 1 month or so for about 10-15% kind of an upside. Also, as per the media reports, the Diageo has began the process of taking management control of United Spirits, which is also quite positive. In other news, Aditya Birla Group is likely to take over about 6.7 million ton cement unit of ABG Cement, which is overall positive for Ultratech Cement. Bank of Baroda will be reporting its numbers, and it's going to be quite muted, and the net profit that we're looking at is about 1320 crore and about 10 to 12% kind of a growth in the NIMs. The NPL number is something that the street would be watching out for. Some positive news for GAIL India, as it will spend about more than $1 billion of investment in US shale gas assets through one of its JV partner, French energy trader EDF Trading. So one can go long on GAIL with a stop loss of 336 and a target of about 353 to about 359. Coal India and Railways are likely to invest about 7,500 crore in laying the railway tracks for some of the areas to access the coal mines, particularly in the states of Chhattisgarh, Jharkhand and Odisha. So one can go long on Coal India with a stop loss of 349 and a target of about 367 to about 374. Reliance Capital has managed to get about $1 billion of assets through its offshore funds in Singapore. So one can go long on Reliance Capital with a stop loss of 464 and a target of about 488 to about 497. Tata Power's distribution arm is looking at increasing the tariff because of the higher costs. So one can go long on Tata Power with a stop loss of 101 and a target of about 106 to about 109. And Rainback sees some negative news as the consumers have approached the court in US to consider a total recall of its blockbuster generic drug Lipitor because of some tiny glass particles found in that drug. So one can go long with a stop loss of 458 and a target of about 435 to about 426. That's it from all of us, friends. Have a nice trading session and see you tomorrow at the same time.